boys wanted to be. Here we are in Kokomo, Indiana. Everyone, all hail Caesar Sothman! Beachy football. As you can tell, it's football Friday Night Fever. Do a football show that has so much swag. Not even the Pirates can stop it. And we're here in Columbus. We're not twerking like Miley. Slam-a-dam-a-dee-dong! And as usual, we're knocking the high school football coverage out of the ballpark. Means it's the Football Friday Night feature game of the week. And it's crazy up here. It's North Montgomery. It's Brownsburg. And it's the one game you don't want to miss. There's plenty going on the court, and there's plenty going off the field too. The only thing better than taking the state championship selfie is, of course, winning the state championship itself. And that's what 3 teams from Central Indiana did on Saturday at Bankers Live Fieldhouse. First, it was baskets going into the hoop, and then it was confetti flying through the air for Michigan State, your Big Ten tournament champions, with a 69-55 victory over Michigan.
This one is done.
And here I am with former Hamilton Southeastern star and Mr. Basketball Gary Harris, who's now a Big Ten tournament champion. Gary, you got that net on your hat. What are your thoughts? What was it like to cut that net down here in Indianapolis?
I mean, it's a great feeling, to win the tournament, and then to win it here in Indianapolis, it's huge, It's something I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life.
It's going to be fun to watch to see if Indiana can now bounce back from these losses. That's 3 in a row after their big victory over number 10 Michigan. 72-58, a bad loss for Purdue on Saturday to Wisconsin, and for disappointing reasons to the locker room. They feel like they weren't ready, but also that they had poor shot selection. Trone Johnson's three-pointer against the Ohio State Buckeyes on Thursday had a chance, but ultimately it was no good. Something that was similar for the Purdue Boilermakers all season long. A 15-17 record and 7 losses by single digits. Purdue's season ending on Thursday wasn't just a loss for the Boilermakers, but for the entire state of Indiana. More than likely, this is going to be the first year since 2005 in which no teams from the state have made the NCAA tournament. Many people questioned if the Indiana Pacers needed to make one final move before becoming a championship caliber team. Well, on Saturday morning, they did just that with a big acquisition, in the most literal of terms, signing 7-footer Andrew Bynum. After an 0-5 start in the Big East, nobody said it would be easy for Butler to get their first conference victory. And on Saturday against Marquette, they were once again pushed to the brink. Good morning from Lucas Oil Stadium, which on Friday night had a spectacular atmosphere for 2 very good Sweet 16 games. In the opening contest, Michigan facing off against Tennessee. The Wolverines holding on to a double-digit lead thanks in part to 3 three-pointers from reigning Mr. Basketball, Zach Irvin. The Volunteers storm back. Jordan McRae's layup makes it a 1-point game with seconds left. But with time winding down, Wolverines forward Jordan Morgan takes the charge, and Michigan holds on 73-71.
We're a young team, and it's really hard to sustain a defense at that 35-minute mark, that 38-minute mark. We weren't young when Jordan Morgan stood in there and took a great charge, one that we'll all remember for a long time.
We weren't able to get the stops that we got in the first half. They were rebounding the ball. They had some bigs down low, but we were just able to survive and advance and move on to the next round.
Over 41,000 fans in attendance for the second game to see rivals Louisville and Kentucky. Louisville in charge late. Luke Hancock's 3 gave the Cards a 7-point lead. However, Kentucky would not back down. Freshman Julius Randle with the floater off the glass, part of his 15-point effort. And then with just a minute to go, Randle finds Aaron Harrison wide open in the corner. It goes in, and Kentucky advances with the 74-69 victory.
This team has fought the whole year. They're maturing right before our eyes. They're playing for each other. They finally have surrendered and lost themselves in the team.
With the victories, Kentucky will face off against Michigan here on Sunday at 5:05 in the Elite Eight. Reporting from Lucas Oil Stadium, Ken Sothman, Fox 59 Sports. Despite being down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks, it shouldn't be all doom and gloom for the Indiana Pacers just yet. There are plenty of examples of teams in the past that have been down in playoff series and have gone on to win NBA championships. It seems to be the question all series long, and they've gone small. that didn't really work. They've been big, that doesn't really work either. It just seems like this Atlanta Hawks team, out of every team in the Eastern Conference, is basically the Pacers' kryptonite. And I'm not quite sure at this point, in just one game or a couple days of practice and a shoot-around, they're going to be able to find answers. I think Thursday night in Atlanta, it could be a very long night for the Indiana Pacers. And as Paul George said after the game, this is one of those games where you could see the experience of this Pacers team playing together over the years. All the hard-fought battles all came together in that fourth quarter when they went in the quarter down, and they were able to pull off one victory that I'm not sure at the beginning of the series or midway through the series, I'm not really sure that the Pacers had this kind of grit, this kind of fight in them. It's 10 for 13 from the floor, 28 points, 9 rebounds. I would have to say it's probably one of the best games that we've seen for Roy Hibbert in a playoff series when he's not playing the Miami Heat. And he basically carried this team on his back. And that's pretty crazy to say because this was a guy who last game had 0 points, 0 rebounds, he had an assist, and that was the only thing that he could contribute on the floor. But tonight, when he stepped on the court, you could see he was a completely different player. He was aggressive, but more importantly, he was aggressive on defense, and for the first time, it seemed like he actually had some energy to him when going after rebounds. So ultimately tonight, Roy Hibbert was the man, and that's not something that I thought I was going to say coming into this. It's what they love to do. I mean, we talked to every player in there. They played their brand of basketball, and I think Paul George said it best tonight. They like to make the game ugly, and if you don't like it, they don't really care. Defense is what they do, defense is what they brought tonight, and defense is what gave them the victory. Because he was on the floor for the second quarter, basically the entire second quarter with the second unit, but that second unit just absolutely struggled. But once the starters were able to get in, Paul George was able to run around, they set screens for him, and they put him in perfect opportunities and perfect positions to be able to do Paul George things. And that's what he did, scoring double digits in the first quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter. I mean, he was basically unstoppable this entire game, throwing about 9 or 10 rebounds in there. So that was a superstar game from Paul George. And that's what this Indiana Pacers team has kind of needed from him all series long, all playoffs long. They've gotten very good games from him, but tonight they finally got a great game from him, and that's why they're able to come back. It's interesting to hear everybody say his name. Colts head coach Chuck Pagano called him Born Warner. The more proper pronunciation is Bjorn Werner, but it's not how you pronounce it, just that you know it. Werner having himself quite a great first day at rookie camp. From what I could see, he was providing the type of energy you would hope for from a first-round pick. The rookie linebacker was quick, he was attentive to everything the coaches had to say to him, and most importantly, Werner just looked like he was an excited athlete playing the sport that he loves, and he is ready to raise his game to the next level. All the players and Coach Smith were in agreement. It will take a few more days for the team to get over the losses, but when they do, they surely will be able to take a step back and appreciate having the greatest baseball season in the history of IU. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. The words by William Shakespeare, one of the reminders in life that no matter how hard an ocean current gets, one must keep on swimming. This is the story of Boonville's Noah James, his swim against time and for life.
Baseball was not his gift or any kind of team sport, so we knew that if he was going to do some kind of social sporting activity, it was going to need to be a more individual sport.
It makes everything just feel right, and I use it to relieve anger, I use it to feel relaxed, I pretty much just feel free in the pool.
Born with Asperger's, a form of autism, Noah James found the joy of competition and a love for sports in the pool beginning at age 6. Undeterred by his condition, the water helped James become just another one of the kids. By time James was in high school, he would become a proud varsity letterman for the Pioneer Boys swimming squad, peaking his sophomore year.
Noah came in the second year and was very much a different athlete. He came in, he was much stronger, much fitter than the first year. His conditioning was much better. And then at Christmas, everything just stopped.
School nurse called me, it was the last day before break. And it was towards the end of the day, and she said, "Hey, Noah doesn't feel well."
Something must be wrong here. I couldn't even go up a flight of stairs without sitting on the couch as soon as I got down or up.
First we were kind of thinking that he was just sick, it wasn't a big deal or anything, and he had to stop at one meet during an event, he had to cut out early. And that doesn't usually happen. Usually he's the type to fight through it.
Answers for why James was sick could not be found. Ultimately, James would become wheelchair bound and had to use machines to breathe.
His oxygen saturation levels were very low anytime he exerted himself. That's when we realized we're on more than just a standard journey of flu and pneumonia.
3 months later, James was diagnosed with bronchiolitis obliterans, a life-threatening disorder that causes obstruction of the lungs' bronchioles. James would have a double lung transplant, buying him the precious time that is life. A second chance to live, a second chance to swim.
Doctor said I needed to exercise because it would be good for my lungs, and like, okay, I'll do swimming.
Now a junior, James found his way back into the water, a difficult process because, as he would joke, his donor didn't have the lungs of a swimmer.
I had built my lungs up so I could hold my breath, I could go entire 50, that's down and back in the pool without breathing. I tried even doing a 25 no breather. I could only go like 5 feet out in the pool, then I had to breathe.
But through all the hardships, James' teammates were by his side.
Started off slow, and we just had to keep telling him that I know it's hard now, but it'll get easier. And it's like he would stop part of the way through, but then we'd tell him that next time just try to do a little more and a little more.
By the numbers, it was 2 new lungs and over 6 months of training before Noah James was able to climb back up the swimming blocks and jump into the pool for his next competition.
That day was, I took tons of pictures that are all blurry because I was crying and I couldn't take pictures and video and feel like I was watching at the same time, but I couldn't let the moment go either.
And by mid-season, the old James had finally returned.
I guess I got my swagger back. We were at one meet, and I was standing next to a person, and he just was standing there staring at no one. I said, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? We said, he's swimming with somebody else's lungs in his body. And you just can't imagine. It's just unreal to imagine that. It's not like a lot of athletes tear an ACL, because you can live without an ACL, but the lungs you have to have. And Noah is completely using somebody else's lungs, not only to survive, but to compete on a high school level.
He swam the 200 IM, and for me that's the hardest one. And he did it, and he finished, and I was really excited. I didn't know he'd be able to come back and do that, and it was just amazing.
Ever since he was a child, Noah James has been overcoming the odds. He made sure to note that he is grateful for the love and support of those around him, and he now looks forward to his senior season.
There's just one upside to this. My brother's going to be coming next year, and he's going to outstage me in every stroke, but it'll help the entire team.
And through all of life's problems, James has continued to keep swimming. With the state championship, Damon Bailey is the 5th person to win a title as a player and as a head coach. However, he's the first person to do the crossover, winning one in the boys' game and the girls' game. Afterwards, I asked him which one was more special. The Indiana football program teaches its athletes a number of characteristics, including to be respectful, competitive, prideful, and one that sticks out, fearless. The last trait describes Ty Smith and Nick Stoner, 2 teammates of wide receiver Isaac Griffith that were part of a trio with Mitch McCoon that saved the redshirt freshman from drowning in a swimming accident along the beaches of Sarasota, Florida, when a riptide took Griffith in.
We realized we didn't know where they were. The waves were choppy, so you couldn't really see. It's not like they were so far out we couldn't see them. The waves were just so choppy.
When they realized Griffith was in trouble, Stoner used football speed to get help, while Smith and McCoon took matters into their own hands.
I laid Isaac down, and I gave Isaac mouth-to-mouth while Mitch did the 2x chest press.
Griffith would spend days in a coma at Sarasota Memorial, but when he woke up, he had nothing but thanks for the teammates that saved his life.
These guys are my brothers. I love them to death.
As of now, Isaac is doing some light training and some jogging. Believes he'll be back on this football field come fall. That's a day he's going to be looking forward to. When he's back with his teammates practicing once again, something he'll always be grateful for.
I don't ever take anything for granted. If I go every day and I'm by my team and I wake up every day and I thank God for waking me up.
Reporting from Indiana University, Ken Sothman, Fox 59 Sports. There are moments on the diamond when the game of baseball transcends sport itself and into life. when the runs on the scoreboard don't necessarily just affect the outcomes of the game, but the healing process of a team, a community, and most importantly, a family. On Friday afternoon, when Newcastle crossed home plate to defeat Kentucky 6-5 in the bottom of the 6th inning, not only did those 11 and 12-year-olds accomplish their dreams of advancing to Williamsport, but also the dreams of the late manager, Danny Smackens.
My dad passed away about a year and a half ago, maybe. Sorry. Coach has always said all along we're doing this for him, and that's who I'm doing it for.
Before succumbing to cancer in March of 2011, Smackens had two true loves in his life: his family and being the manager of his son's baseball teams, where he left a lasting impact on the kids.
We're just a team that never gives up and everything. We just never give up. We've always been fighting. We knew this year was our year to make it to Williamsport for Danny Smackens. We've just been doing it for him.
That's one of the things he said in his final few days was, never give up. And so, it's kind of weird how all that comes around, and where we're down in almost every game we play, and we never give up, So maybe that's part of Danny with us, who knows.
It is very special for the team to be so dedicated to my dad, because this was his biggest dream, to come to the World Series, and it's all he ever wanted. He was all about baseball.
How proud of him do you think he is right now of you?
I mean, more than anybody can imagine.